Hey, if you've been wondering how to hire and work with your first virtual assistant, you are in the right place. I am Emily Reagan, and I'm here to give you the goods. Now, I'm going to talk fast. Just know that you can always go back and come back to the parts that you need. Let's dive in. First of all, we are going to cover the difference of the VA roles. We're going to go over where to find a VA, how to delegate to them, where to hire one, how to work with them, mistakes to avoid. Everything you could ever wonder. You can always DM me at Emily Reagan PR and ask any questions too. Now, I don't make any money off of this training. I just like to educate my fellow business peers. I do refer my own marketing assistants, virtual assistants, admin assistants, and marketing specialists inside my work group. So you can always check that out at hireaunicorn.com if you want to go straight to the people who can do the work. Okay. My background is in journalism. I was a military spouse for 20 years, always starting new jobs, a hodgepodge skill set. And somewhere in there, I started freelancing and using my journalism and PR skills. And it worked so well in this online space, especially in the beginning when there wasn't enough people who were doing the freelance work and got it. And so then I started training other military spouses who are overeducated, underemployed, how to do this work. Because there are a lot of very smart women like me who are highly educated, I have an MBA, who wanted to work during school hours or weekends or in a part-time flex schedule. I was supporting my husband's military career. I could not have a 9-to-5 and hold down the house with him in and out so much. So just know that there are people out there like me who are English speaking, US based, who want to support your business and are happy behind the scenes. I eventually stepped out and started doing things like this because I wanted to help more women make those client connections and get paid online doing remote work. Okay, here's what I want you to know. If you walk away from anything from this whole topic today, it is that nobody successful does it alone. Every single business owner that you admire and you look up to has people behind the scenes making it work. Whether they're pushing buttons, whether they're helping with like strategy, copy, design. In this case, Batty Winkle, she's over 90 and she has a team that helps dress her and post and do brand sponsorships and buy her clothes. You know Batty is getting a nap. So there is no guilt here if you need to get help. Everybody successful has help. In fact, this is the way that we should be designing our businesses as a CEO, as the founder. We need to keep in mind the Pareto principle in everything we do. That's the 80-20% rule, where 80% of your success, of your money, only comes from 20% of your work and your results. So your 80% of the results come from 20% of what you're actually doing. So our goal is to outsource the 80% that doesn't really matter, that doesn't really move the needle, that is still important, and focus ourselves on the 20%, on the high level decisions, the creative work, the visibility, the sales, the things that only we can do. This is the end goal for every CEO. It is not a badge of honor to be doing everything in your business. Successful businesses outsource 80% to the team. Even if you're good at it, doesn't mean you should do it. So let's get into this. There's a difference of the tasks that we outsource, whether it's money making or time saving. And we need to be aware of what we're doing there, especially because it puts the onus on us to go out there and make the money and make the difference and see the ROI. Not every hire on your team is going to result in instant money back, right? Sometimes we are buying back time. Sometimes we are paying for people who help us make money. Now, what you need to know, in order for a business to grow, the gasoline for that is time and money. A business can't grow without either one. And the best thing you can do is leverage other people's time. Use human capital to buy back your time so you can focus on that 20%. I like to call those the golden opportunities that only you can do. This training, only my face could do. Although AI might be able to do it soon. Maybe not well, but you get me. Why you need to get help? Because it increases your availability for high value work. That's it. It helps you focus your activities. A lot of us will distract ourselves with the fake productivity, doing little things that don't matter. I would call them the little piddly things. This allows us to bring in new revenue streams, to do the visibility, right? This allows us to get consistent. A lot of us struggle with that. And like the peace of mind, like you can go on vacation, you can step away for your business and not have it completely fall apart because you are the one-man band. There's no badge of honor in there. And so the hot term is virtual assistant. Everyone's talking about a virtual assistant. What is it? Well, it's an umbrella term that could mean an independent contractor who gets paid by a 1099. They are a self-employed business owner because they are a contractor and they are coming into your business as a contractor to do a certain amount of work. A scope of work is what we call it. So there is a difference between a contractor and employee. Most of us aren't ready for an employee, and I don't encourage you to start there. Eventually, you might want to have a full-time role out of that, but that was like a different animal over there. So let's go over quickly what you need to know about working with a VA, because this could be the scary part. The contractor is a temporary project-based, and they're hired for a specific job, and they're supposed to come to the table with specific skills. They also should be managing other clients. They should have other clients. If you are their only client, you might get a little red flag from the IRS, and that could be really bad if you get misclassified into an employee relationship. So it's really important that your contractor realizes they're not an employee and you're not treating them like an employee. Okay, so this means the contractor has more control and independence than an employee would. How they work, how they do it, when they do it, they control. You don't control that. If you do, again, you're treating them like an employee and you could get in trouble with the IRS. Contractors are hired for skills they already have, right? So you don't bring them into the business and start training them. They need to learn your business, but they come with skills already. You can't require them to be available every day, 9 to 5. That's going to be like an employee. Contractors use their own tools, they have their own expenses, and they have the ability to profit or loss from that. That's not your problem. You get in a contract, it's like a business-to-business relationship. And it's a little sticky because, yeah, you're their client. They need to keep you happy, right? The contractor owns the IP, anything that they create. An employee does not. So there's a reason to think about like, okay, if they create stuff for me, who owns it? Think about that when it comes into your relationships. Contractors determine how and when they get paid. And it's okay for you to be like, hey, I use Gusto, or, I pay at the first of the month. It's okay. There's some flexibility there. But a contractor should come to you in their contract saying the terms and the rates. Are there rollover hours? Is there late payment? What happens if there's no payment? Like they dictate that, like whether they invoice through Dubsado or if they require an ACH. Contractors are also responsible for their own taxes. And the terms of the contract will say how the contract can be killed off, right? What makes it go away? If you guys get off the happy path, if terms need to be renegotiated, the contract will tell you how do you terminate. Usually 30 days in writing, sometimes 2 weeks in writing. The important thing that distinguishes a contractor from an employee is this contract. Your VA will bring it to the table. You don't create one for them. You might have an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. You might have some privacy or IP things that you want them to sign that they don't give away, but the contract for the scope of work comes from the contractor. Do not misclassify them. Okay, here's the deal. I hate the term virtual assistant. It's such a dumb, vague title that means nothing. And it's getting more synonymous with AI, like the AI virtual assistant inside my Kia Carnival minivan, right? Virtual assistant, let's start using real job titles and start having a very specific scope of work, especially if you want to attract top talent. So these are words I like. These are job titles I like, depending on what part of your business they are in. Screenshot this, because when it comes to attracting top talent, you need a top talent job title. You need something that's attractive because it's competitive out there. So if you mean a virtual assistant and you really mean customer service, say that. If you mean admin work, say that. If you mean social media, say that. Use that. And there's all different levels and tiers. We'll get into that a little bit. Now, what I want you to do is think about your business in terms of these 6 departments: human relations, operations, finance and accounting, marketing and sales, research and development, and customer service. You would not hire one person to do it all. That would be like a Frankenstein role, setting that person up for success. Some of these departments overlap with others and some just don't. HR, research and development, that's usually on you. We're usually hiring a book as the owner. We're usually hiring a bookkeeper or a CPA or a tax attorney or somebody in the finance and accounting to help us in that department. So that means that there's 3 departments that usually a virtual assistant will be working in: marketing and sales, operations, and customer service. And I like the term marketing assistant because there's some crossover with some of these. Customer service, I'll look at like the fulfillment and delivery of the product as well. There is some crossover. Just make sure you're not like dumping your whole business on one person. That's not cool either. So here's what we're going to start with. What task can I delegate? Okay, ask yourself, when I am maxed out at capacity, if you're a coach and you get all of the clients that you can handle, what are you going to need help with so you can focus on the 20%, which is coaching? What do you need to hand off? It's usually things that are repetitive, where you're clicking buttons. Somebody else can do that. Do a time audit. What is actually sucking up your time? Is social media sucking up your time? And if you're a coach and you're making, $1,000 an hour coaching a client, which one is better for you to do? You need to do the money-making activity. What's in your drudgery zone? What are you waiting till Friday at 4 o'clock and not doing or never doing? What is at the end of that stack that is still important that someone else could do? And what will support me now so I can grow more money and I can start scaling? It's the gasoline that you need now is that human capital. It could be inbox management. It could be a bookkeeper. It could be a housekeeper that frees up time. So think about where you are now. It does not mean you're going all in with a specialist. It does not mean you need to hire 15 specialists on your team right now. It could be slow baby steps depending on your access to resources and capital, right? But I really encourage you to start building the business of the future. Imagine, picture your business booked out. You get the max number of students in your group coaching program. You get the max number of sponsors on your podcast. What kind of support are you going to need? And let's start setting yourself up now because it takes time. Okay, so how much should I pay a virtual assistant? An admin virtual assistant on the newer side is going to be between $18 and $25 an hour. Executive assistants who serve that C-suite person, the CEO, they're not running everything in their business. They're just making it easier on the CEO. They're going to be more expensive. Marketing assistants start at $25 an hour, usually to $44. Beyond $40 an hour, you're going to start seeing more management. People who can actually own the process and the outcome, and you're going to pay more for that because you're not going to have to babysit them. Any type of creative or technical specialist, think copywriter, designer, maybe a very sophisticated tech and automations person, they're going to be above $50 an hour, but they're probably going to be more project-based. It is possible to have these people ongoing monthly in your business as well. Online business managers, you don't need one until you're over 200. I would even say over between 300 and 500,000. A good one is going to be above 50. A really good one is going to be 65 plus an hour. And then you can always hire specialists as needed with projects. So I hope this helps. And yes, there's a contingency of overseas virtual assistants who charge $2 to $4 an hour. For me, I think you need to pay for the role, not where they live, not the area, not the region. You need to pay for the outcomes and the roles that you expect, but that's on you. Now, these virtual assistants, these specialists, these social media managers, they can charge any number of ways. A lot of us start with hourly because we don't know what we're getting to in your business. But if you're hiring us to do something really specific and repeatable every month, it might be better to have the ongoing package, which is a project rate. So monthly, I might sell you, 20 hours of admin assistance. You can either have a rollover where if you don't use 10% of the hours, I can roll it over to the next month, but I'm never going to let that go unlimited. I'm not going to let a client come and cash in all of their hours in 1 month and hose me, right? So with the monthly retainers, with hourly, let's call them groupings, you can sometimes have rush fees if you demand things quickly. Like if you're in a launch and you know you need them, they're juggling other clients. So you need to keep that in mind. You need to think about your turnaround times, like how fast do I need it? Because you will pay more for that. Somebody who's more available will charge you more. And you need to think about the minimum time commitment. The good VAs don't want to just work for 3 hours a month. Sometimes we have clients that we stick with because we love them, but the good VAs, the cream rises, right? They're going to start requiring a minimum of 10, 20 hours a month. All right. And then we also have projects when we're going to be very clear on what is included, when that is due, and what the client really wants out of it. So if you are looking at, let's just say hiring emails for a launch, the outcome you want is conversions. And so you're going to set those, that's more of a value-based pricing where you're like, hey, since I am going to be making money off of that, I'm not paying an hourly rate if the outcome is related to directly making money. So hopefully that makes sense. Your first VA, you're going to start with a chunk of hours. Like, hey, I'm going to need you 3 hours a week, 12 hours a month. And from there, we can start to scale up as I grow, as your business grows. A virtual assistant or admin assistant or any kind of marketing assistant is going to want to grow with you. They'll be happy to add more hours. You just come back and renegotiate it. Just don't dump things on them and expect them to just, be excited. Now, there's a difference between a soldier and a general. I had to with a military analogy. A soldier waits to be told what to do. A general is leading the charge and making the orders, doing the managing of the people or the strategy. You pay more for a general. And if it's your first VA, you might not want the blind leading the blind. You might need to hire a general first and pay a little bit more, someone who can really take charge of their lane. But do not hire a $15 an hour virtual assistant and expect them to be a general. That's just not going to happen. Let's manage our expectations. So let's talk about this, who you should hire first. Usually we're getting some of the administrative tasks off our plate, especially when it comes to email, communication with current clients or students, the fulfillment part of things, any kind of processes or responses, inbox, bookkeeping. I think that was the first task that I hired out. And then we're going to start looking at the delivery of the product. A lot of us are hiring community managers first, more inbox support, maybe someone as an executive assistant to help with the scheduling, podcast and media scheduling, client scheduling. We're figuring out our marketing at this point. We're hiring out our marketing, then we're hiring out our sales, and then we're hiring out our leadership. So depending on where you are in business, you might not need to start exactly with leadership. But if you're like, question mark, start at the bottom. What are you doing every week that you need to get off your plate? This isn't that 80% rule. It still needs to be important because you can't just hire out everything right away unless you have an unlimited budget. That brings up the question, well, I don't have the money or the budget right now. Listen, this is a strategic investment in your business. You are not going to grow unless you create a bigger container for your business. And the only way you can create a bigger container is to get more people to help you with the load. You are a human. You have the same hours as Beyonce. She cannot do it all. She has the help. She has the assistants. She has the hair, the makeup. She has the creative director. She has the stylist. There's a reason, right? So even if you can just get 5 or 10 hours off your plate right now and you can go make up the work with a revenue generating work, like one new client, it will start to create that capacity so you can grow and create even more revenue. This is where businesses get stuck with this mindset where they think, I can't. So take the repetitive draining tasks off your plate, focus on the money making, the visibility, anything that does with lead gen that gets you clients, anything that helps you convert clients so you can do more sales calls, PR, partnerships, visibility. All of that are the things you turn around and do. If you get an admin person to do your inbox and you free up 5 hours a week, you go to town with the PR. You go to town with the lead gen, creating new partnerships, all of that. When to hire when you have a small budget? You can start small. You could start 5 hours a month. I mean, you can begin with somebody who's newer and low cost. You can outsource critical tasks only. You can also offer incentives as you grow. You can trade or barter or create interns and apprentices. And you make sure that when you're doing this, you're focusing on generating income, not sitting on the couch watching the documentary of The Biggest Loser. And then track your ROI. Keep yourself accountable to that. Because a lot of people will blame their VA. They haven't made money right away. And that's because they hired a time-saving assistant, not a money-making one. It's a different result if you hired an ads manager. And you would expect a different result, right? Okay, so where to find virtual assistants and contractors? Your own community is the best place to start. Send an email, post on social. It would be great if you could hire people who already know your brand. Talk to your friends, find out who's on their team. There's a whole secret underground network of people like me. For years, I didn't have a website, but I did the work and had a good reputation. And all you had to do is ask one of my clients and they would give you my name. And if I was booked, I would give you someone else's name, because I would be careful with my reputation. So ask your friends. You can ask in Facebook groups. Just be prepared to be inundated if it is a virtual assistant Facebook group with 30,000. There's lots of hiring sites and workplaces and directories, Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer, HireMyMom.com, the Mom Project, lots of good freelancers there. You could go to an agency. Belay is well known. Check off your list. Go Squared Away. They even hire military spouses. The problem with agencies, though, you're paying a middleman rate. So they're scraping a lot off the top. And sometimes the cream is off on their own, working where they know they can get more. And so you get a lot of newer VAs in that situation. There are some overseas VAs. I've never heard anyone happy with those. I will just tell you to stay warned. And then there's other overseas places where you can go get virtual assistants directly. You can also search. What's the job title you need? Do you need an active campaign specialist? Do you need a Kajabi specialist? You can go into that Facebook group for Kajabi, do a search. Look, use ChatGPT. And I also have my hireaunicorn.com. I will share your job description for free with my work group. I have about 150 different virtual assistants, marketing assistants, specialists in that group. I've got the tech people, I've got the social media people, I've got the podcast people, I've got the affiliate managers, the community managers. You can just post that free. I also have a directory. I will share the link to, if you just go to emilyreaganpr.com, you can see it there /directory. You can go browse people and see, do they have an agency? Do they have openings? What is their specialty? And pick someone out that way too. What should I look for in a virtual assistant? You have to hire somebody with skills. Remember, this is a contractor. You're going to train them how you do things in your business, like when you post or where you store files, how you name files, but they're going to come with the skills. They're going to already know how to do ConvertKit. They're going to know how to design a landing page. So you're going to look for those key qualifications. You're going to look for the hard skills that anyone can learn, but you're also going to look for those soft skills, their communication skills, their personality. Right? You can also ask virtual assistants to do some of these personality tests and get a more idea of like where they excel in. The Working Genius is really hot right now. The Colby, Enneagram, Human Design, all insightful to know what kind of personality works well with you and balances you out. So here's an example of how I would do that. Key qualifications, 2 years experience. I don't want someone brand new. I need you to be familiar with certain software. I want you to have a degree or a diploma. Skills could look like task management, communication, a proficiency in AI or Asana or Google Workspace. And traits could be proactive, reliable, having a strong attention to detail. So that's a good example. It can come across pretty generic. So add in your personality there, be specific as possible, and make you an attractive client to work for or work with. How do I assess a virtual assistant skills? Look at their marketing assets. Don't hire someone for graphic design who hasn't showed you their graphic design. Look at their own website. If they're a Squarespace designer and they don't have a Squarespace website, red flag. You're going to get on a discovery call with them and you're going to talk to them. You're going to learn about how they can help you. You're going to tell them your pain points and they're going to tell you about their skills there. This is not a job interview. This is not a job interview. This is not an employee situation. You guys are both coming together to find out if it's a good fit. You can look at their portfolio and their services guide before you get on this call to make sure it's a good fit. They should have case studies, testimonials, and references. And you can do a paid test project. Not free, do a paid test project that tests their skills. Even in my last full-time PR job, one of the hiring hurdles was for me to sit down and write something in AP style to make sure that I had the skills to fit it. That's what your paid test project should be. You can also do a trial period. Hey, we're going to do 30 days together. I'm going to see how this works. If it's causing me more stress, if I'm not blown away, then the relationship, we're going to end it. That's okay too. You can do a 30-day trial. Paid, of course. How do you onboard a virtual assistant? Well, they're a contractor. They're going to show up with the way that they do their work. But first, you're going to have that discovery call, right? They'll have an intake form. You'll answer questions. You'll find out if you're a good fit. They'll tell you their prices and their packages and what they think will be the best fit for you. Then they'll send you a proposal. This outlines the scope of work. This sets you up for the contract, which you sign their contract like we talked about. And then immediately after you sign the contract, probably do your first, payment down. Sometimes we have a deposit at the beginning to start work. They'll schedule a kickoff call. Here you want to be available. You want to make sure that they have access. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and your money. You need to be available in the first few weeks. 2-factor authentication, getting them into whatever tools that they need to. It's going to be annoying, but it's going to pay off. And after that, you're going to have regular check-ins and be clear about that communication. Maybe you meet weekly to begin with. Then you're going to meet at the 30, 60, and 90-day mark for sure. But the biggest thing is giving them access to you, having a set maybe time, hour method to ask you questions that will help them do their job. The goal is for you not to be the bottleneck, and this will light your little tush on fire to get the work done. Okay, there's a couple questions I like to ask in a discovery call to make sure they're the right fit and that they will be good long-term for my team, because I want to hire people who are going to be with me. I don't want to be churning people around, and I want to know what they like doing, first of all, because I want everyone to be working in their sweet spot, doing their zone of genius and competence. I like to ask what they don't like doing, because I don't want someone sucking at it inside my business, and I don't want to give them that kind of work. And this gives me an idea of, do our expectations meet? If someone hates writing and I need them to write social media posts, it's not going to be a great fit, duh. And then the question I really love to ask to determine if they have a growth mindset is, what course? What are they eager to learn? If they could take a course, they could do a training, what do they want to learn more about? If they're a podcast manager and they say, I really want to learn more about podcast SEO, AI workflows, AI video editing tools, ding, ding, ding. This is my person because I want someone who's going to grow and like adapting to change. This is not a stagnant role. Our online business is moving so quickly and I want people who can keep up. So think about that. How can you figure out where's their sweet spot? What are they good at? All right. How do you manage? Well, this is kind of comes if you've ever worked in a workplace, you get it, but clear and effective communication, not texting at 10 p.m., putting things into email or the project management tool and being very consistent with your communication. You set the whole company culture with how you do it as the leader, as a CEO. So having boundaries when you work, when you don't work, what those turnaround times are, having SOPs, how you do things in your business. Remember, you're not teaching how to schedule something in ActiveCampaign. It's what does that process look like? Where do I find the email? What do I do when I'm done with it? Where do I track it and report it? All those little nuances. Where do I store my UTM links? That is the SOP that you need to have so someone can do their job. An SOP is a standard operating procedure. So if you're looking at somewhere to start right now, start documenting how, maybe a little bit of the why you're doing things in your business. How are you scheduling and when are you scheduling your social posts and what happens after they're scheduled? Where are those files at? Where are those marketing assets at? Index them so someone could come in and start taking over that task. There are really good programs like Tango and Scribe and AI tools that can help you do video recordings. You can even do a loom of you doing the video, of you doing the task. The communication channels we talked about, project management tool, having those check-ins and team meetings that we talked about. Most new business owners don't do well at this. Making sure that you have a give and take with your feedback and your performance and saying how you would do things better. Right? This is a long-term relationship we want, and we want to make sure the feedback is 360. Okay, stop the press. Really important right here. When you are managing someone on your team, you need to make sure they have 3 things before they go do the task. All the information to be able to do it. They need to have the permissions, what they are allowed to do and not do, making writing choices, making decisions based on the project. What permission do they have? And then what is the outcome that you expect? Sometimes this could be conversions. Sometimes this could be so many answered calls. Sometimes this could be a finished project by this date. So make sure you're getting updates on the status and checking in with your team. You're very clear on when the due date is and who the point of contact is. If it's not you answering their questions, who on the team is the person they go to? We don't want it all muddied. So remember, before you hand off a task, does this teammate have the right information, permission, and outcome? Very important. And then have the hard conversations early. Every single business owner friend I talked to wishes they had started when they first thought there was a problem. Have that communication. If things aren't up to par, if something was done wrong, start earlier. Don't wait till it's too late and a festering problem. And then be clear on what you want this teammate to track, especially when it comes to their success. What KPIs are you tracking? What do they need to turn in every month? If they're doing Pinterest, they should be sharing their outbound clicks and saves with you every month. You need to make sure that there is an ROI on this person, whether it is time or money too, right? So if you have a podcast manager and you say, hey, my goal is to get 10,000 downloads a month and we're at 6,000, now she's incentivized to think outside the box. How can she help you hit her goal? So there's actually something really magical that comes when you hire someone smart who has a brain, who likes to be inside your business, and they can start coming with other solutions. And this brings up the whole idea of incentivize and reward. Make them a valuable teammate and ask them about strategy. Ask them how they would like to take control. Reward them beyond a bonus paycheck. You can give them gifts. You can give them praise. You can give referrals and testimonials. You need to be a client that people want to work with because it's very competitive out there and we have our choice. Sorry to say, the freelancers, you guys outnumber us. The business owners outnumber us. We get to pick and choose who we work with. That is why we're not employees, because we want that freedom and autonomy. So you need to be good to work with. And that could be performance-based. That could be a percentage of the launch sales. It could just be a bonus check. Now, I like to talk about how it's like the babysitter in your neighborhood, and they know which family has the good kids, the stock pantry, the good Wi-Fi, the parents who actually come home on time when they say they're going to come home. They know who they want to work with. And that person, that family, those parents will get a yes before the other ones, right? So you want to attract top A talent in your business who are excited to work in your business and give you the best. So you need to be a good place to work, a good client to work with. Okay, hire now. You need to start building your dream team now. It doesn't happen overnight. A lot of us are in new leadership and delegation roles. We've never done it. We got to iron out the bumps. We can't just wait till the house is on fire. How many people come to me and they say, Emily, I need a virtual assistant. I'm launching Thursday and it's Monday. I'm like, it's too late. You need to start that going now because you're just going to build and build off of it. And the more you can trust someone, you'll be able to give them more and more, and you'll be able to increase your own capacity. It's going to free up your time. It's going to save you from burnout. It's going to help you with any kind of emergency readiness or vacation readiness. And it does look professional to have support. Like, especially if you're coaching clients, you have someone in your inbox, you have someone helping with customer support. It does look professional. All right, start working in your dream business now. What is the next step that you need to do to get prepared for that dream business? Because it's coming for you. You are going to hit capacity. What are the things you need to get off your plate right now so you can be ready for that? Your reputation, your client work, it's all at stake. So who do you need in place right now to build that dream business? Now, I have a free hiring guide. You can go to emilyreaganpr.com/hire. You can get a time audit, some SOPs, job description, more insight on the hiring process. And you can also go to hireunicorn.com. I'll share your job opportunity with my work group of unicorns, anywhere from admin assistants to launch managers, podcast managers, marketing assistants. I have the English speaking marketing help that you need. And remember, every minute you spend organizing now is going to pay off with an hour earned later. So I'm Emily. Feel free to reach out to me at Emily Reagan PR. I cannot wait to see what you can do in your business when you get the right help. Bye.